Hello, hello. We are here live on March 3rd, 2023. So please do say hello. If you if you're here, if you're watching this, then you've arrived. Whether you're here now and in the present as I am here, or whether you're here now and in the present in the future where you are. Hello, time traveler. Welcome to the daily transmission. So we are live on TikTok. Wow, y'all, I am tired. I'm just transparently, I am very tired. Yesterday was a very exciting day for those of you who may not have gotten the memo. Right? Not only do we have the astrology of the day, which was very exciting, but we got engaged yesterday. So we interrupt your regularly scheduled daily transmission to talk about the astrology of a proposal. Now, like, I would be not truthful if I didn't say that, like, I would not be remotely surprised if like a fuckload of people got proposed to yesterday or today or like over the next week. Because that conjunction that we've been talking about, the Venus-Jupiter conjunction, especially with Chiron being over there too. I know for me, just like, let's be real today, as if that's a change from any other day. Like I know, right? Thank you. Like I have dealt with a lot deep seated unworthiness. And although this is something that I have worked on for many years now, like definitely this has been building on itself for over a decade. It's no surprise to me that this, like, it had to have happened now. Because I feel like it's only been over the last like several months that I've truly been able to like relax into myself and like, nope, like there's nothing to prove. Like everything's cool. Like you can just be, and you are, and you're lovable for being who you are. And you don't have to reach a benchmark or an achievement or nope, in order for you to be worthy of receiving love, nope, that's okay. Like, and I finally got that, like integrated that into my body, and I've started to feel very safe in that. Not very unrecently. And so, yeah, of course it would happen now. But let's talk a little bit more about the astrology of the moment. And then I think that maybe not today, but like as I'm talking about this whole like unworthiness, lack of worthiness. Oh, and like for sure now, you know what I mean? Actually, you know what? Now that I'm saying this, let's just do two things because I didn't anticipate doing this. But what I want to do is I want to bring up my gene keys for a moment because I want to show you there are 3 sequences in the gene keys. If you want to follow along like visually, you can do that either on Twitch, like here live, or you can watch the YouTube video later, or if you're listening to the podcast on Spotify, there is a video version. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull open my gene key profile very quickly because what I want to do is show you the differentiation between the 3 sequences, because the one that we would want to look at for this, what did I maybe need to work on? What did I need to demonstrate? What was it that I needed to heal in myself in order for me to be ready to accept this? Because like, let me tell you, and this is just my own perception of things, okay? Take it for what it is. I believe all of this is like a giant hallucination, that like nothing that is happening right now is actually what's happening. And like every interaction that I'm having is an interaction with myself, like at a soul level, at a collective level. And it's all here to teach me and us that it's time to wake up. And so it's growing through the lessons of pain, because it's the pain that makes us feel like we're separate. It's the unworthiness. It's the shadow side of things. And so when we work on our shadows, we reach for the essence, when we try to be our best self, when we like really like allow ourselves to not just intellectually understand what this means, but really like embody it and feel it and process it. That's where we actually have the breakthrough. And that's where things can actually change in your life, and you can actually receive the love that you are wanting to receive. And so in particular, when we're looking at relationships, and now like your whole gene keys will play a role in this to some degree. But because we're talking here about like love and relationships, what we'll do is we'll pop over just to the Venus sequence. You see here that we've like now kind of dimmed some of the other spheres. And we've just got this sequence. Now, the interesting thing about the Venus sequence, so obviously like this comes after the activation or the genius sequence, and that would be your like sun, earth. And so now we are down at that like unconscious earth. And then we move forward into the Venus sequence. And so it's like after we've developed some kind of level of like self-awareness and self-acceptance around like who we are and like our challenges and like what it is that brings people into our energy and like what it is about our energy that attracts other people. Now we get to go into the part where we get to actually like give our gifts to other people and receive the love that we are looking for. And so when we go into the Venus sequence, you know that like, and I'm not saying that this is necessarily true, but people, you know, the saying like, you can't truly be loved until you know how to love yourself or whatever. I'm not here to argue whether that's like true or not. I think that you're inherently loved no matter how you feel about yourself. It's just about being able to accept the love. So, but the Venus sequence shows us, and I talk a lot about like your unconscious wounding or wounding patterns from like your childhood or like your inner child. But the thing about the Venus sequence is it actually shows us like different periods of our life. So for example, we've got the core wound, which you can also see plays a role in your pearl sequence or in your prosperity sequence. So the core wounding is like wounding that would have happened like in the womb. So like when you were like a fetus, okay? Cool story about my core wound. It's gate 25, and we will be talking about 25 in not too long because I know it's coming up like really soon. Yeah, it starts the 19th, or does it start? Yeah, the 19th. So we'll be talking about 25 more in depth very soon, but 25 is the sphere, or 25 is the gene of it's unconditional love. And at the bottom of it, right, the shadow is constriction. And it's like constriction is like a tightening. It is like being alone. It is like, yes, it is something that we all have. We all have a core wound. Everybody has, yeah, like a complete sequence. It's just all about determining what is where. And we get that from your birth details. So, some other interesting things to note, right? So this one is really fucked up. I feel like this one calls me out so hard. So your SQ, this is your, what's called your spiritual quotient. So your spiritual quotient is wounding from the first 7 years of your life. So I talk about this one a lot. Y'all, so 40 is divine will. I know that y'all see this in me. Because divine will is when I make a decision about something, and it's not a decision that I have made. Actually, let me correct myself. It's a decision that has been like given to me, or like it is something that has been planted in me, you know, by the collective, by God. And I like agree, and I'm like, okay, I agree and I accept, and I will move forward with this. And then it happens in a moment, and y'all are like, whoa, what the fuck just happened? That's gate 40. Okay. So, but that is when it's in the zone, because you also see me like, maybe not now, but you have seen me like bust ass on projects that like no one asked for, no one needed. I don't know why the fuck I'm doing this. I'm working so hard to prove myself. For why? Because in those first 7 years, I was a pageant baby. I was talking about this just like very briefly to my fiance. Oh, to my fiance last night, about how like I would be, we were talking about like being a morning person, not a morning person. My daughter, like, oh, it is just it's a whole thing to drag her out of bed in the morning, where I like just pop out of bed. Like my alarm went off at 5 o'clock. Let's go. It is my first time using that out loud. Yes. So I just pop out of bed. Like I might be a little bit tired, but I do it. And I realize, of course, it's conditioning from those first 7 years, because I have vivid memories of being like 3, 4 years old and crying myself to sleep because I have curlers, like plastic hair curlers in my hair, tight, because one of my like routines that I did in the pageants was like a Shirley Temple thing. Like I could definitely sing you that Shirley Temple medley right now. It is so ingrained in my psyche. And I would then wake up at like 4:30, 4:45 in the morning so that we could start like pageant prep and like doing makeup and getting ready. I'm 4 years old doing this. And so, yeah, of course, there is this level of like, oh, for me to receive love, like I have to exhaust myself. I have to work myself into the ground. And it doesn't matter if I want to do it or not. It's what I have to do to prove that I'm worthy of receiving love. And like, let's not even get into the fact that like, after I stopped doing pageants right around this time, my last pageant was when I was 6 years old, is when my biological mother like left my life for the first time. So yeah, that's going to create some serious wounding, obviously. And we can see how me being in the shadow of that, in constriction, not asking for support, not believing I'm allowed to ask for support, believing that I have to work myself to exhaustion in order to receive love. Well, of course, I'm going to keep myself from like attracting love that I want to keep. Like I wouldn't have wanted, like, no offense to any of these dudes that I was with before, but like, I wouldn't have wanted to have been engaged to any of them. Like I've wanted to be engaged, but not to any of the people I've dated. And so what is that? It's me being in my shadow. Okay. So there's more, obviously, like we could keep going because some of these are like different areas of your life. Like this one is about right? So 0 to 7, 8 to 14, and then 14 to 21, it goes in like Saturn squares. And yeah, there's much more to it. I'm so excited for Audacity to ascend my incubator this spring. I am like, that is all I want to focus on. It's going to be this. It's going to be like creating like content on the side I'm thinking about doing a Substack. I don't know, whatever. So doing that, teaching one class a month, and then just leading people through this because, also I start yoga teacher training tomorrow. Y'all, my life is like, what is this week for me, this whole week? But the next thing, right? So what I had more intentionally wanted to discuss, because again, like the astrology of the moment, I would not be entirely surprised if people get engaged right now. Like the astrology of the moment says, hey, everybody, like be bold, be courageous, like let your heart be open. And right, that's and don't let your past wounding, like don't let the hurt that has hurt you in the past keep you from loving now. And like that is so what all of this is happening says. So again, I wouldn't be entirely surprised if like there are going to be a bunch of people posting about this over the next like day, even over the next week. But what I want to show you more specifically is when we get into like transits. And so transits, of course, like personal transits, right? So those are the transits like that we're all experiencing. Those are in the sky right now, right? So Venus is conjunct Jupiter, conjunct Chiron, all in Aries. But how does that affect you? That's what I want to show you. So I'm going to drop this down to whole signs. I want to add a few extra things. One of the things that I want to make sure that we add is Juno. So Juno is an asteroid, and Juno, like if we're talking about the mythology, Juno was the only wife of Zeus. And so when we talk about Juno, we're talking about commitment, right? So maybe Venus is where you're like attracted, like what your value system is, what you want to see more of. And there's definitely love there. But Juno is like, oh, I'm about to put a ring on it, right? So let's make sure that we pop that in there. So first, let's just look at my chart with the transits of yesterday. And then we can look at my fiancés maybe. And yeah, see what else is going on. So the cool thing about me and him too is that we're both Gemini rising. So when we look at it in the context of whole sign, and even like our rising is like fairly close to one another. I can't remember what his ascendant degree is right this second, but I know that Mercury is conjunct his MC, right? His midheaven line. And mine just was. So, I mean, you know, he's got to be maybe like right here. So he's like a couple of degrees off tops. So the cool thing about that is that a lot of where things fall, it'll fall in the same like area of our lives, right? So even though our charts internally are different as far as like, well, we both have a Capricorn moon actually. And so anyway, it helps like Pluto has been transiting both of our 8th houses for the last 20 years. Saturn has been transiting both of our 9th houses, right? So as Saturn moves next week into the 10th house, like we can both expect that the next couple of years will be very much about our public image, about our reputation, about our careers. And so that's the kind of stuff that we want to like make note of it when we're talking about like synastry or like helping us to understand our partners better. I think that it's before you even are trying to understand like who they are, I think an easier way to start is to grasp like, okay, well, how are things affecting me and you right now? Because that helps you to deal with things better, just like in the moment. So something that I have to point out right away. So we've got Juno, right? We talked about her just a second ago at 24 degrees Aries. Okay, so 2 things that are going on. So my Mars is at 23 degrees Aries. So we've got Juno conjunct my Mars, check. We've got Juno because my Mars is trining my Venus. We've got that in a trine, right? Check. And then my descendant line. So you can't see this right now because we've got it in whole sign, but it's this little like tick, this little blue tick right here. So the AC, right, that talks about like your rising sign, that is like your first impression, how people see you. So on the other side of that, it leads into the 7th house, right, the descendant, and that talks about the qualities that you appreciate in your long-term partnerships. Now, long-term partnerships can be marriage or like business partners, equal, mutually beneficial partnerships. So if you look at where this whole conjunction is, the Venus-Jupiter Chiron conjunction, it is right around 12 degrees. And wouldn't you know, that is in perfect trine to my descendant, AKA the line that leads into my 7th house, AKA the house of long-term partnership. So it's like all of this was healing, not only, and let's not even get to talk about the fact that like I've definitely healed something in the area of like my social groups and like friendships and things like that, especially through my yoga teacher training. And I just have to bring this up while we're talking about transits, and this is not relevant to like getting married or anything, but I just have to. Y'all, I start my yoga teacher training tomorrow. Pluto moves into the 9th house, which is the house of higher thinking, philosophy, learning something from like far away. It's like world travel. Like you find astrology, yoga in the 9th house. Pluto is going to come into the 9th house for 3 months. The 3 months that I'm in yoga teacher training, it's going to come into my 9th house. Are you kidding me? This is just like, yeah, nope, nothing is real. This is crazy, right? So yesterday, the sun was at about 11 degrees, right? That's in perfect opposition to my Juno, right? So there are so many things here that are like, wow, you could be seeing some kind of romantic or some kind of like something that's going to elevate you socially. I don't know. I feel like he has a lot of awesome energy and a lot of great friends. And like, I love all of his friends so much. And we were talking yesterday about how even like his sisters, like we love like their friends. It's like your family just attracts like the most amazing people. And like, now I get to be in on that energy. But I feel like you have to like work on your like pre-qualify to get in. And I'm totally kidding. But let's do this because I also would like to look at how the transits were interacting with him. So again, you see that like, right, things are in the same spots because his ascendant is like way down here. Okay, so what would this have been interacting with? So this is all at 12 degrees. I mean, it's in a pretty like significant trine to both his sun and to this Mars Uranus conjunction. You know what's interesting about us is I feel very strongly that like we are here to like be like, I joke with him, we would definitely, like, our astrology says that we would be amazing business partners. Like, I definitely think that there is a venture in our future. And like, I'm really trying, y'all, to convince him. No, I don't think I need to convince him. I think that y'all would really love to hear us just have conversations because I don't know, maybe not, but our conversations are, if you think that me talking into the camera like this is like, wow, we love it. Us having a conversation, just like driving around aimlessly in the car, top notch. We I don't know, we are always talking about just like society and how the future could be and like creating solutions. We talk about philosophy, we talk about astrology, we talk about music and just like all kinds of stuff, and politics a lot. We talk about politics. And I know, right? Yeah, order the car mount. Like, honestly, I think that it would just be really great. So anyway, I love to see this happening like for him in the same respect. And then he had like direct oppositions yesterday, both with his sun and with Mercury, because Mercury was at 0 degrees Pisces last night. And like basically at the time that we got engaged. And like transparently, he never like had intention to get married. Like that was not his agenda. Like he wasn't interested in getting married. And so I see the sun in direct opposition to his sun. I see Mercury in direct opposition to his Mercury. And what I feel is like the coming out of this shot, like the growth. And that's the sun being in 63, we know that is in direct opposition to his sun because that's where his earth is. I was talking about that yesterday. The earth, it was literally at 63.1. And that is where his earth is, 63.1. So with that being his earth, that is the sphere of evolution. So this was like a huge moment of like growth and like leveling up even for him as well. So just so interesting to see how the astrology of it all like plays into this, because like you just can't make this shit up, y'all. I was talking to my client Nicole here, and then she was looking at some of her transits, like the transit of her engagement and the transits of her wedding, and it was just like similar, right? Like similar Venus transits. I'm already looking at like potential dates for our wedding. I was looking, I know this sounds silly, right? But like, we're definitely not doing it this year because there is Venus retrograde. You don't get married in Venus retrograde, y'all. I'm not that person who'll be like, oh, like we don't use astrology to blah, blah, blah. No, that's the one though. because I've seen it happen. I've literally seen it happen. People get married during Venus retrograde, been together for like a while, and then get married, falls apart. I don't make this shit up. I don't make the rules. Why did oh, because we have another Venus Jupiter conjunction. Are you fucking serious? I didn't even know that. I wasn't even looking at that. Yeah. Okay, well, that's dope. So we definitely are, I'm like picking this date for fucking sure. Although I don't love that. I don't know. We'll see. It's Chiron conjunct. Well, Chiron conjunct Mars could be really nice because that could be like healing of my like relationship to the masculine or like to men, because like definitely it has not been great. Especially since my dad died when I was 14. You know, it's like I needed like male attention because he was like my best friend, and like, oh, and I've got Juno. Oh, that's probably why, because I was probably looking for like my Juno return. Yeah, so Juno's at 9°. Oh no, I guess I must not have been, or maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I love this for us. Let me make sure it looks good on him too. Are there any retrogrades? Oh, just Pluto, but we don't care. That's fine. Okay. Mercury in the 12th house. Are we okay with that? Maybe. We'll have to think about it. Moon and Sag day. I don't know how I feel about that. Well, we've got plenty of time to consider it. And yeah, y'all, I mean, this part I hadn't necessarily intended on going into the gene keys today, but I'm glad that I did, because I really do feel like it was this stuff. Like, this is what I needed to work on. Like, this is what I needed to be able to, like, sure, the astrology of the moment, like, helped, you know what I mean? It like gave us all like the charisma and like the energetic boost to do the thing. But that opportunity would have been there. And if I had not been ready for it, or had we been not ready for it, then the opportunity would have come and went. Right. And that is also like, please hear me when I say this, just because like a transit is coming doesn't necessarily mean that you're like, that's why I try to give you some kind of advanced, you know, heads up about just like where the transits are, like how things are going. We can only be as ready as we can be, you know, but that's right. Just carry your umbrella, or, you know, make sure your nails are done. So, yeah, I love y'all so much. What a beautiful way to close this week. Next week is, again, so much goodness. Next week is a really beautiful week for opening yourself up to the concept of healing. And so we'll keep on this conversation a little bit more next week. I would love to see you in Audacity to Ascend. If you would like to go deeper into your gene keys, if you would like me to guide you through the gene keys personally, and to get to, you know, witness and grow with a small intimate group, you can check out the link in my bio, or you can send me a DM if you have any questions. We've got 5 spots left, and we start on the 21st. So super excited about that. I will let y'all know how yoga teacher training week 1 goes when I see you back here on Monday at 9 a.m. for our next daily transmission. Bye, friends.